And let's quickly bring you the latest news where the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed support for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that's the NDLEA, in its fight against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking, as well as its ramped-up efforts to prevent the Nigerian populace from falling prey to the drug scourge. Speaking at the State House in Abuja, President Tinubu was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, who said illicit drugs and substances have wreaked havoc on individuals, families, communities, and countries worldwide. He has now asked key players and residents to prioritize evidence-based prevention strategies, allocate adequate resources, and foster partnerships for greater impact. Olamide, you'd say this is a step in the right direction, because the issue of drug abuse, illicit drug abuse, if you go to countries like the USA, you get to California, you see some zombies. I call them zombies, on the street, because people who are taking too much drugs and all of that. And we also have some people back here in Nigeria who are also taking different drugs, methamphetamine, Colorado, whatever name you want to call it. This has become, public emergency.
And it's a very alarming figure. If you look at what the UNODC says, about 68 million people suffer from drug use disorder. And what is even more serious about that is that only 1 in 11 persons are receiving treatment, just to tell you how crucial this is at this time. And looking at the theme for this International Day Against Drug Abuse, was talking about the evidence is clear and prevention is needed. And at the point in Nigeria where we may not be able to, totally cover the cost of treatment, why don't we also focus on prevention? And that's why the NDLEA also brought about this drug test kit. It was also, initiated to ensure that everyone is drug-free, including the student who is trying to get into the tertiary institution, couples.
Those who are in secondary school.
Yes, secondary school students, for you to know how bad this situation is. And even workers in government firms, private offices. And the president also mentioned the fact that the NDLEA will also have to go to the grassroots.
That's right.
Are the locations where these kind of things are very common. And so when we are talking about the stakeholders in this thing, it includes community leaders, traditional leaders. So we do not also leave the job to the law enforcement agencies. So these are the key factors. And this is a step in the right direction, like you mentioned. And as with other crimes where we have the drug test kit, at least this will be a way of, curtailing the situation to an extent.
That's right. It also starts from the home, because building a better society, a better country, starts from the home. You don't have to wait for the government to take care of your kids. As parents, because we have lots and lots of, manifestations of failed parenting, this day and age, where back in the day you used to have the community raising the kids. So you can't even say you want to take drugs, or you want to smoke, in the open. You want to do anything that, the culture is against the culture. When you're not even from the gods, we only know that it's the gods that actually comes out, blazing, with, fumes and smokes coming from the head and all of that, just to show how fiery they are, but not ordinary human beings who are supposed to, look gentle and, appear normal in the society. So it takes, just like you said, it takes a whole community to raise a kid, and they should allow, parents should ensure that they should ensure that their kids are having better friends, they're having good friends, where whenever they come back from school, you check their bags, you engage them, you talk to them, you advise them. You also do not expose them to media violence. What do I mean? Because if you look at cultivation analysis theory, where what people see on television, what they hear, they tend to also want to act in accordance to that. So the kind of movies that they expose them to, because when they see them, even music, you see that's what holds sway in the music, this contemporary music that yes. We have, those guys singing. They do drugs, they do, hard drugs, and then it appears like it's the norm. So all of these things, we should really look into it in a broader view, not just looking at the younger ones or the older ones, or people who are working, people in the rural environment. We should also look at the enabling factors and either directly or indirectly how it is affecting them and how they are getting to taking this without recourse to what effect this will have on their health rather, and their lifestyle in the long run.
And that's why a full-blown sensitization and awareness and advocacy is very key. And when you also talk about the health implications, to an extent, the abuse of drug reduces the lifespan of the life expectancy of an individual. So when you look at these factors, while we also try to, bring the parents into this and other stakeholders, the individual also has the responsibility of, not having to rely on some of these things. When you speak to them, they say it's a way of, living reality. But when you are done, you are coming back to whatever you left.
Yeah,
so these things are very important.
They say you need to be high to face the realities of today. But then, that's not what we need. Let's move on to other stories.